Hi guys, welcome to another video lecture. So today I am going to talk about the phylogenetic tree, basically the part of the cladogram, the phylogenetic tree. And there is a little difference between the classical phylogenetic tree and the cladogram. That is, the phylogenetic tree basically focus on the time, but cladogram basically focus on the ancestor that two species shared. Okay, so why do we study phylogenetic tree? So phylogenetic tree basically a very important topic in evolutionary biology. It's help us to understand the evolution process and the relations between two species, like all the living organisms that are present in the earth. We all are related to each other in genetic level. So phylogenetic tree help us to understand between the relation between two species, like which two species are the closely related and which one is the distantly related. So there are the two types of the phylogenetic tree. First one is the rooted and second one is the unrooted. So let's talk about the rooted one. So in phylogenetic tree there are the three main part. In the bottom one, the root, then edge and the leaf. The taxons are called the leaf. And in phylogenetic tree, in this kind of, we can also draw it like this. If you want to, you can also draw it like this. Okay, but in this type the time goes, we plot time in the y-axis, and this is the past and this is the future, or you can say present. But in this we plot time in the x-axis, t time, and this is the past and this is the present or future. Okay, and as you can see in this picture, the green dot are present as a node. Basically node means the ancestor from where the speciation or emergence occurs, and the red dots are the derived traits. That means the derived traits which as a result create the reproductive barrier, and as a result the reproductive barrier leads to the speciation. So derived trait influence reproductive barrier which leads to speciation, and all these species are called as a taxa. And there is two other terms, that is the sister species and clade, and the space between two nodes, okay, this part is called the internode branches. So let's see what is the sister species. So sister species is two species that are each other closest relative. So let's see, this is the common ancestor. Okay, these are the species. So if we rotate this tree, okay, if we rotate this tree from this point, it will be look like this. Sorry. So as you can see, before rotation A and B share a common ancestor in this point, and after rotation B and A is also share a common ancestor in this point. Okay, so A and B is the sister species of each other. That means they have the a recent common ancestor, and their emergence point, they share a same emergence point. Okay, and the second term is the clade or the monophyly, and there is the other term that is the polyphyly. So let's see what is the monophyly and the polyphyly. So for that we have to go back the diagram, and let's say along the time, if I mark, this is the first, this is the second, this is the third, this is the fourth, and this is the fifth ancestor. from recent to primitive. So if I consider in first level, so F and G, the two species share their common ancestor in this point. Okay, so from this point the F and G are emergent, so we can call this whole thing as a clade or the monophyly. Like this, we also call the D, E and their common ancestor as a monophyly. Okay, but when we mix these two ancestors, if we talk about this first level, then we call the D, E, F, G as the polyphyly, because the D, E, F, G in the first level doesn't share a common ancestor. But if we go back that time and if we consider it in the second level, so in the second level D, E, F, G have a common ancestor. So if we consider the second level, so from here the D, E, F, G has a common ancestor or the descendants of this common ancestor, so we can also call it as a clade. So that is the difference between the clade or the monophyly and polyphyly. Okay, as you can see, the all evolutionary descendants of common ancestor is called as a clade or the monophyly. So now let's see the unrooted one. Let's say we have three species A, B and C. Okay, and all three species have a potential to be an ancestor. So in unrooted one, we doesn't know which one is the our primitive ancestor, and these all three have a potential to be primitive ancestor. So to study a phylogeny, we must have to convert the unrooted one to the rooted one. So in order to construct the rooted one, we apply a concept, that concept called the outgroup concept. So applying the outgroup concept, what can we do? What we do actually, let's say I assume A as a primitive ancestor. Okay, so I have to place A horizontally. If I place A horizontally, then B and C will be positioned like this. Sorry, this will be C and here will be B. Then from this point we have to create a divergence point or the emergence point. So after creating a emergence point from here, it will be look something like this. Now it is converted in the rooted one. So in outgroup concept, we assume A as the most primitive one. That means the A come in the evolution most earlier. And we repeat this process for C and B also. And nowadays there is a software which do this job and calculate the score for the each one. And this score benefit only one species from among three, and that species will be considered as a outgroup or the most primitive ancestor that came the evolution process earlier. Now let's see how can we determine the relations, whether let's say A is a species and there is two other species B and C. So with which one the A is closely related and with which one it is distantly related. So let's draw a rooted one phylogenetic tree here. So if we consider the D and the E species, and as you can see the D and E species share a common ancestor in the most recent time. So D and E species will be the closely related. But if we consider E and F, then as we can see E and F is share a common ancestor in this position. So earlier, as I say, we consider time in the y-axis, and this is the future
or present. So to find a common ancestor between E and F, we have to go backward. So to find a common ancestor between E and F, we have to travel long in the past. Then we have to travel in the case of the D and E. So E and F distantly related in compared to D and E. But if we consider the E and B, if we have to find the relation between E and B, then we have to travel in this point. So we have to travel farther in the past than in case of the D and F, E and F. So B and E are relatively more distantly related than the E and F. Okay. So to find a relation, we have to read the phylogenetic tree from upward to downward. Remember that. So for today, that's it. If you enjoy this video, please do like and share it with your friends. And if you like my work, then please subscribe to my channel. So for today, that's it. If you have any question, please let me know in the comment box below. Thank you for listening me. See you guys in the next video. Bye.